The storm outside raged like a living beast. Lightning clawed through the violet skies of the planet Varine 9, and wind howled over the fractured landscape. Inside a small dome shelter, Dr. Elias Wren sat alone, his breath fogging against the glass window. He had been stranded for 3 weeks after the terraforming expedition failed. His crew gone, the communications tower fried. The air was barely breathable now, thick with alien spores and ionized dust. Then the scanner beeped. At first, Elias thought it was another phantom reading. But no, it repeated, steady, rhythmic. A faint life signal less than 100 meters from his shelter. He grabbed his breather mask, shouldered his emergency kit, and pushed into the storm. The wind almost tore him apart. Sparks of plasma fire danced through the air. He followed the scanner's signal until he found her. A woman, if she could be called that. She lay half buried in the red dust, skin faintly luminescent, a faint silver hue beneath the grime. Her hair, white as frozen mist, spread like a halo around her head. She wasn't human, not fully. Her lungs weren't moving. Her pulse, if she had one, was gone. But her eyes fluttered just barely. "Hang on," Elias murmured, kneeling beside her. "You're not dying today." He sealed his breather mask over her face, but the oxygen didn't take. The air here was poison to her. Desperate, Elias remembered something from the xenobiology files. Her kind absorbed oxygen differently, through a process similar to photosynthesis, yet she was in darkness. He tore off his glove, pressed his lips to hers, and exhaled pure, filtered air directly into her lungs. Once. A third time. Then she gasped. Her body convulsed as breath returned. The glow beneath her skin strengthened, spreading down her arms and neck. Her eyes opened, silver, liquid, unearthly. She looked at him in confusion, fear, and awe all at once. "Stay still," he whispered. "You're safe." She tried to speak, but the words came in musical tones he couldn't understand. Still, when her trembling hand brushed his cheek, the meaning was clear. "You gave me life." For the next several days, Elias tended to her. He called her Era, after the Varine word for air. Her body healed quickly, faster than any human could. Her strength returned. She began to explore the small shelter, touching the steel walls and looking at the sky through the window with wonder. They couldn't speak each other's languages, but they found ways to communicate. She would draw symbols in the dust, and he'd answer with sketches of stars and molecules. When she laughed, it sounded like wind chimes. On the 10th night, the storm finally calmed. The alien horizon glowed with twin moons, pale and soft. Elias sat outside the dome, breathing through his mask, while Era stood beside him, her hair fluttering in the gentle breeze. "You shouldn't be alive," he said softly. "Neither should I, by all logic. Guess we're both miracles." Era tilted her head, listening, her eyes filled with quiet curiosity. Then she stepped closer and touched his chest, right over his heart. She whispered something he didn't understand, but he felt it. A warmth spread through him, like she'd lit a small star inside his ribs. From that night, something between them changed. Weeks passed. Elias fixed the transmitter, enough to send a weak distress signal. But every time the console blinked ready, he hesitated. Part of him didn't want to be found anymore. He'd wake to find Era curled beside him, glowing faintly in the darkness like a soft lantern. She began to learn human words, simple ones. Light. Water. Elias. When she spoke his name, it sounded like music. One evening, she grew suddenly weak again. Her glow dimmed. She collapsed, breathing shallowly. Elias panicked, checking her vitals. Her pulse fluttered like a trapped bird. He tried oxygen again, but it wasn't enough. Her trembling hand caught his. "No," she whispered in halting English. "Not me." Inside. Elias froze. Inside. Her hand moved to her abdomen, where a faint, pulsing light glowed beneath her skin. Took him a moment to understand. Then the truth crashed over him like the storm once had. "Era, he could barely say it. "You're carrying." She nodded weakly. "Your breath became life." The air left his lungs. His mind raced through biology, through impossibility, but none of it mattered. The moment he'd given her his breath, something beyond science had happened. A spark that bridged species, a miracle born from shared survival. He held her close as she trembled, his tears falling onto her glowing skin. Months later, when the rescue ship finally landed, they found Elias standing outside the dome, holding a small bundle in his arms. The child inside glowed faintly, silver and soft, breathing slow and steady. Era rested nearby, weak but alive, her hand always reaching for the infant. Captain Rios stared in disbelief. "What is that?" Elias smiled, weary but proud. "Hope," he said simply. "She's proof that life finds a way, even out here." When they took them aboard, Era pressed her palm to the window of the ship as Vereen 9 shrank behind them. She turned to Elias and whispered, "Home." He took her hand. "Wherever you are," he said quietly, "that's home." The stars stretched out before them, an endless sea of new beginnings. And in the cradle of their child's tiny chest, the faint glow of life pulsed on, born from one desperate breath shared between two souls who were never meant to meet, yet somehow were always destined to. Months passed before the rescue ship finally cut through Vereen 9's orange skies. The storm clouds had long settled, leaving the planet eerily calm. Elias stood outside the dome shelter, his suit cracked and scarred, a small bundle cradled in his arms. The child, small, glowing faintly beneath thin, silver-tinted skin, breathed softly against his chest. Its heartbeat was steady, strong, and unlike anything human. Behind him, Era sat wrapped in thermal fabric, her strength still returning, her eyes filled with a peace Elias had never seen before. When Captain Rios stepped down from the shuttle ramp, his eyes widened. "Dr. Wren, what in God's name is that?" Elias smiled faintly. "Her name is Leora," he said. "She's not human. Not fully. But she's alive, she's ours." Rios could only stare as Elias gently placed the child into Era's arms. The alien woman's fingers trembled as she held their daughter close, her faint luminescence reflecting in the baby's silver eyes. "This planet tried to kill us," Elias whispered, looking up at the pale twin moons. "But it also gave us something new. Proof that life doesn't just survive, it evolves." As they boarded the rescue craft, Era pressed her palm against the viewport, watching the world below shrink to a speck of gold and dust. She turned to Elias, her voice soft but sure. "Home." He took her hand, lacing his fingers through hers. "Home," he said, nodding. The stars stretched before them, wide, endless, waiting. And nestled between them, their child breathed light into the darkness, born from one shared breath between two souls who had once been strangers, and who now carried the future of two worlds in their arms.